Okay. So, welcome to the Know Your Risks, Know Your Options webinar provided by the Farm Business Resilience Program for Horticulture in Queensland. I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which I am presenting from today, and that's the Mamu people, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples present today. So, why are we here today? Because we have been listening to what you've been telling us. You've been telling us about your risks, what you're faced with, and that's why we're providing you with information to help reduce your risks. In Queensland, we're on a continuous roundabout facing the environment of drought to floods to fire risks. If you think about this for a moment, what would you do if you face 1/3 of your crop being washed out this summer? Then had that followed up by fires the next spring from the increased fuel load from the La Nina we're currently experiencing. Then imagine if the following year that was followed up by a drought. The result being a reduction in your irrigation allocation and quality of your water. Do you have a plan in place to support you to get through this? So this scenario is exactly what some Queenslanders and some of our farm business resilience clients have faced in recent years. We know that those extremes will continue. Today's webinar is to provide you with the information on how to reduce those risks and prompt you to review your risks to take action to minimize them. What we know is that many of us don't take time to purposefully stand back and look at our business, look at our whole farm and consider what risks we're facing if we fail to take action. I'm Karen George and I manage the Farm Business Resilience Program for horticulture across Queensland. The program is delivered by Growcom, which is the delivery arm of Queensland fruit and vegetable growers. It's jointly funded through the Future Drought Fund and Queensland Government's Drought and Climate Adaptation Program. We've been delivering this program across the state for a couple of years now, and growers are telling us they really appreciate receiving the support to undertake a risk assessment of their own situation and being supported to take action and make plans for the future. Now, with me here today, I have Ahmad Qleibo, who is the Principal Partnerships and Business Development Officer from WFI Insurance. I have Beck Tkal, who's the Risk Recovery and Resilience Officer from Queensland Farmers Federation, and Tim Hayden, who's the Head of Memberships and Partnerships for Queensland Fruit and Vegetable Growers. Now, Ahmad, you've been working in the profession of risk management for many years. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to share with us today.
Thank you, Karen, very much. So I'm Ahmad. I've been in the financial services industry for now over a decade. Started when I was 18, early on in the bank, did a lot of risk and credit management. In the last 2 years, I've come on to insurance. I found that was really connecting for me. How do we help people get back to where they started? So for me, it aligns perfectly, risk reduction. In the last moment I've been doing with WFI is how do we build stronger relationships with referral partners, with our clients, and how do we get them back into a stronger position? And how can we get them to access our service offering? What I'm going to talk with everyone today about is, and we'll go through this later on, is under insurance, a bit about our company and how can you minimize the impacts of the risk of underinsurance.
Excellent. Thanks, Ahmad. Beck, you've been working across the areas of flood recovery to farm resilience. What are you going to talk about today?
Thanks, Karen. It's wonderful to be with everybody. Today, I'm going to chat to everybody about a project that QFF has been working on that's also funded through the Future Drought Fund, but through an innovation grant, looking at ways to smooth income volatility during extreme weather events through a tool called parametric insurance. Yeah, you'll just have to wait to hear more.
Thanks, Beck. Now, Tim, your focus is on partnerships and membership. What information do you have for people on today's meeting?
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, it's great to be here. So, as you said, I look after members and partners here at Queensland Fruit and Vegetable Growers, and that order is really important, and it's deliberate because we are a member-led organisation. Our growers are at the centre of what we do. But not just because Ahmed's here, I'll sort of say, you know, we could not do that without the support of partners like WFI. Without them, we wouldn't be able to offer the same level of support that we do for members and for the wider industry. WFI are a really long-standing partner of ours, and we call them one of our partners who care. And what that means is they're a really strategic partner for us, and they show that that care for our members, and it's really fantastic that we can have, I guess, leverage Ahmed's experience and knowledge in providing content back to you all today. I will add that I'm relatively new to the industry as well, and I really appreciate learning. So if at any time you want to pick up the phone, give me your take on the industry, and or even just ask some questions about membership, then please do give me a call.
Thanks, Tim. That's great. So we will talk with Tim a bit further, and what we're going to share today is to give you an introduction to what Farm Business Resilience Program is, the risk analysis, and where to find the resources for horticulture. And Ahmed's going to go further in explaining WFI services. The QFEG memberships offerings will be shared further from Tim, and Beck from Queensland Farmers Federation will explain further the parametrics and managing the financial impact of weather risks projects. I'll just move on to talking a bit further about this. I am all about resilience, having lived, worked, and had businesses and farms in rural and regional Queensland my entire working life. I've experienced drought, floods, boom and bust, and I have been that person who would have loved to have some support, especially when things weren't going to plan. So I am passionate about helping you and to help communities to thrive. We are so fortunate that we currently have the resources to provide that support through the Future Drought Fund, the Drought and Climate Adaptation Program funded Farm Business Resilience Program that works right across all agriculture industries. So, you know, if you're on today and you actually are a turf farmer, or you're into cane or grazing, this service is also available for you too. So the program provides resources, including people, to support you in your own individual circumstances so that you can review your risks to your farm and to develop plans to reduce the risks and prosper in the longer term. You can access these resources through the Growcom project's delivery arm of Queensland Fruit and Vegetable Growers. If you jump onto growcom.com.au, you'll see down the bottom of that page, there is the link to the Farm Business Resilience Program. On there, once you click on that, you'll find this page that you're seeing right now. Now, on that page, when you scroll down, you'll see that there's information about the program, how to get started, how others have used the resources. And when you scroll down to how do I start a plan, you'll find that there are some Word documents of farm business resilience planning templates as well as action plan templates, guidance notes for both. There's also a link to hort360.com.au, which is a resource platform from which you can assess all aspects of your business risks. And you can use that for benchmarking and other programs available through Growcom, the project delivery arm of Queensland Fruit and Vegetable Growers. Now, the purpose of Farm Business Resilience Program is to build the capacity of farmers to plan for and manage risks, including drought. Recently, Queensland has experienced various weather extremes, including cyclones very recently. Many growers are continuing to repair and considering their plans for the next extreme weather events. We know that through Bureau of Meteorology modelling that climate extremes are in fact increasing. So these should be considered when reviewing your business risks. Through the farm business resilience process, we are aware that growers often have not considered planning for climate impacts when assessing risks. Farm Business Resilience Program for Horticulture includes a whole farm risk analysis. So that includes everything from business, infrastructure, horticulture operations, caring for your land, people, and management. So reviewing your insurance is important. It's an important aspect of that when analysing risks. It's useful to know what insurance is available and to consider if you have the most appropriate cover to meet your needs. Sorry. So, how do you do a risk analysis? You go to the Growcom webpage, Farm Business Resilience Program, and there you'll find further information, including how to start your plan. For the first step is to complete a whole farm risk assessment. We have made it easy for you to do this through hort360.com.au, and where you have an online platform where you can look at all aspects of your business. Once you've completed the module, you will receive the risk report that you can apply directly to your farm business resilience plan. So helping you to develop that, what we've often found is that when considering risks, people often ask themselves, what if? Are we covered? How can we recover? How do we get back on track? The Farm Business Resilience Program has been running for a couple of years now, and I mentioned that before, and we've learned that most of us have a gunner list. So this is a list of our best intentions, but most often we need a little prompt to get us going. One of the common areas on this list is the review of risks and insurance, and this is where WFI come in. There is a lot to consider when thinking about insurance. So today we have Ahmad here, and WFI provide us with an overview of what is on offer through WFI. WFI helps you to tailor a farm insurance package that suits your rural plan. So WFI have been with us. They're a long-standing partner of Queensland Fruit and Vegetable Growers and one of our valued partners who care. Queensland Fruit and Vegetable Growers run a rebate program where members may be eligible for a rebate, and Tim mentioned that earlier. So if you have a WFI policy, you really should be looking at this. And for further information, you can go to the QFVG website or give us a call and we'll be happy to put you in contact with the right WFI person to speak to. Now today, it's going to provide you with that overview of the WFI tailored products. He's going to speak about some common risks that they see at WFI, including, like he said earlier, under insurance and assessing the value of your property, reviewing your insurance and information that's available through their website. So Ahmad, tell us further.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Great points. So today I'll briefly discuss WFI's history. I think it's always good to understand the timeline of the business, who they are, where they're from, go through our people, our locations. It's good to know where they sit. I'm going to share with you information from an insurance perspective about underinsurance. What does this mean for producers? The importance of adequate cover and the impact. How does insurance support getting you back or your business operations back up and running when the unexpected occurs? And how to minimize the risk. What can you do next? Our history. So back in 1919 is where we started. We've been proudly providing insurance solutions to clients in Australia since over 100 years ago. Started in WA. First was a cooperative. In 1991, the Federation Insurance was acquired, giving Wesfarmers Insurance a national presence. So that's where we spread the footprint throughout the whole country. 1993, they renamed to only be Wesfarmers Federation Insurance. 2009, we rebranded and only had the 3 letters, and they celebrated their 90th birthday. In 2014, we were bought and acquired by the Insurance Australia Group. They're one of the largest groups that have brands from NRMA through to CGU, including ourselves. So got sold, bought from Wesfarmers over to IAG, held the WFI letters. We celebrated 100 years in 2019, few awards, and lately we've actually changed our main headline of what we do. So insurance you can shake hands with, because that's what the brand is all about. Physically out, walking face to face with clients on their farm through their business. Our presence, we're located over 80, there's over 80 local reps throughout Australia. We have over 100 geographic locations where they cover, and it's not just like one postcode, but they cover the surrounding postcodes as well. So we allocate people for geographic areas so that it covers a wide area. Some people are driving 600 to 800 kilometers a day to visit a client. The local reps in Queensland are based in these locations, and they cover pretty much along the whole eastern seaboard side and also inland, right through to Blackwall. People can have a local rep visit. Our partner, QFEG, is someone who we've had a proud, long-standing alliance with, actually invited us to this session, so we're very grateful for them to bring us on board to be able to talk about risk and underinsurance and what can producers do to minimise their risk. Through QFEG, we work closely with them and how can we support each other, but then what do they do to give back to members? So there's a rebate offering available that you can tap into if you're a QFEG member and you have a WFI policy and it's all connected and referred through in the right way. And how you can find out more about it is you can connect and talk to QFEG. Now, the main part, so what is underinsurance and its impact? So simply put, underinsurance is when you don't have enough insurance to cover the replacement value of the items that you're insuring. For most people who find themselves underinsured, it can be because they haven't had a proper calculation of their current replacement value of their assets and their belongings, or what would it cost if something did occur and they needed to replace it or repair it in there right now. An example on screen actually shows where a household who took out a policy 2 years ago in contents had it covered for 60,000. At the time, the value that they put down was 60K. It increased to over 100,000 over the 2 years. They actually hadn't reviewed their amount when it came time to claim. They didn't adjust accordingly. So when it did come time for an actual loss and a total loss to be paid out, the difference that they fell short was 40,000. And that's the impact. So if you don't have an adequate amount covered for what you've got insured, it will mean that you'll be out of pocket. And then the impact ultimately, if you don't have enough funds to cover or liquidable assets to cover the cost to repair, rebuild or replace what you've lost, recovering from the loss could potentially face a financial burden on you, family, the business, just throws everything up into the air. Now, if that's the case, so how to minimize the risks of being underinsured? According to the Insurance Council of Australia, the key to being covered and having enough insurance to repair, rebuild and replace is to accurately calculate the value of your property assets and belongings. So what you could do is regularly reassess the value of your assets. This could help you continue to make an informed choice about the level of insurance coverage that you choose to list. Try not to guess. Regularly could be over a 12-month interval. However, it could be every time you have a change in your circumstance. If you have a midterm change where you bought a new asset, that's potentially an opportunity to review too. Account for upgrades to your home, business or farm. So as you make changes, document it. However you do it, just make sure that you record it somewhere, and accordingly at the point and right time, chat with your insurance about this. Remember that your assets may be applicable to depreciation for accounting purposes, so talk with your accountant about the amount that you might need to cover and that you might need to list. They'll be able to inform you through depreciation tables and tax conversations. And then you'll be able to take that to your local rep or your insurance company and have that convo. If your business is growing and your premises, manufacturing and your customer base are expanding, consider that these increased exposures to risk are also accounted for. Take the time to review your current policies, understand your coverage, your exclusions, your terms. This further helps and empower you to keep your insurance coverage adequate and up to date. Again, it just further complements a greater conversation with your local rep. So it's really involved, you're close with them. Another item is to consider all the costs that could be incurred with getting your business back up on its feet, or your family situation back up and protected, not just the main items like an asset. What you can do to help yourself through the Insurance Council of Australia, they have tools that you can use to calculate estimates for these costs. WFI Insurance also have useful tools and calculators on their website that you can use. For commercial insurance, we don't have a tool for that yet, but we are looking at building one in the near future. But what you could do is consider bringing in a trained, experienced professional to help you to better understand the value of those assets and have them part of the conversation as well. So that's something that you can do. It's useful. The tool itself on the website as well, they're free. There's no cost to use it. So you don't have to be a WFI policy holder or a client to jump on and use it. It doesn't track, record, doesn't ask you to put information in. You literally just click the link, open it up. It's powered by CoreLogic, which is like a real estate data background feed, and then you just punch in information and then it tells you what you should be maybe considering, and then it just helps your conversation. What to do next if you find that this could be you? Take the time to review your current policies, understand your coverage and your exclusions, and list out your needs and requirements. Gather information, receipts, recent, old, calculate, use the estimator tool, get current valuation, reports, have conversations with your accountant, financial planner if they're part of the mix as well. It's really important. The Royal Commission a few years ago changed the way general insurers can identify and discuss with you what to insure. So we really rely on our clients to tell us what they want to discuss and what they need covered. So having a detailed list of the items you want to talk about with your local rep, it helps that discussion and the need conversation. Make sure you're listing all the items and all the assets that you want to be walking through and talking with, particularly for your farm, your business, your personal items, things from your farm, your operations, your crop, your shed, your machinery, your livestock, fencing. There's liability risk, business interruption, every item that you would think of. And if you're unsure, you can always review the website and see what products do they have, what do I want to chat with them about. You might find something and go, oh, I actually want to raise that at my next conversation. And the insurance rep will tell you what they can and can't do. They're pretty straightforward and honest, and they'll say, yep, can do that. No, we don't cover that. This is what you can do. This is who you can tap into. The Insurance Council of Australia, you can refer to them to find, if you're not covered by one, you can go through that resource to find out who can cover. There's the National Insurance Brokers of Australia, the NIBA. They also have access to the broker market. And yeah, there's a few options out there, so you're not ever alone. And next steps really reach out to your current insurer if you find this is you. Have a conversation, review the coverage. If you would like to find out more about protecting the things that you care about with WFI, or review your existing policy, you are a client with us, you can do that by scanning the QR code. You can book a face-to-face chat with your local rep if you already don't have them saved in your phone, or you can talk with the association as well that you're with, QFEG, and they can refer you on to WFI and we can start the conversation. Karen, that's all from us.
Thank you. Thanks, Ahmad. I wrote a few notes down myself there, so very useful. Thank you. So, yeah, as we said, WFI is a partner who cares, and there are benefits to members who hold a WFI policy. And Tim's going to explain that a bit further for us now.
Thanks, Karen, and thanks, Ahmad. Yeah, I got a couple of notes down as well, so I better go and do a little bit of review. Now, we've talked about the rebate a little bit, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there's some really important things that you need to know. So, when we do refer a member to WFI and they decide to take out a policy, they may be eligible for a rebate. So we need to talk you through that. And this is really actually quite new. It came in at the start of the year. And how it works in practice is that we have a referral agreement with WFI, and through that we earn commission. Now, that's really important for us because it supports the advocacy and the membership services that we do offer. But we're really pleased, and I think it's fabulous that we're now sharing this with applicable members. And so far this year, and it's really pretty new. You know, we're just about to 5 months into it. It's an average of $350 that members are getting back. So it really goes quite a long way towards covering off on that cost of their membership fee, and that's really the intention behind it. And it is intended to be something that's ongoing. So what it will mean is that each year, if there's a member who has a policy and they're eligible, we're the referrer, the month after they renew their membership, they will get that rebate back. So that's how we're sort of planning to keep that going. So if you've got any questions specifically about that, or you want a referral, just give me a call. The number's on the web, on the qfvg.com.au. You can find my direct phone there as well, so you can always give me a call. If you're not currently a member, we can still refer you. And of course, if you are thinking about becoming a member, I'd like to have a chat with you about that. And I'll just briefly chat about one of the aspects of membership. So Member Rewards is a program that we've recently introduced. And historically, QFVG members have told us that they value the advocacy work we do. Wrong way, loud, strong, and brave is what we growers tell us they want us to be, and we're very pleased to do that. They value other benefits that we offer, like the 2 hours of free workplace relation support that they can access each year. And this WFI rebate's an example of where we're looking to find other opportunities. And in fact, it is one of our rewards. So it's one of our member rewards. If you scan the QR code that you see there, it will take you to the website, onto the member rewards page, where you'll see offers, including from WFI, but also from Hilton, Ozmarket Consultants, Dell. There's a number there. It's only been running since April, so we are continually talking to new suppliers about coming on board. So, of course, that's available for QFVG members. If you are interested in talking about membership, you can sign up on the website. Give me a call. Really happy to chat to you. As I said at the start, I am new to the industry, so always keen to get feedback generally, to hear how things are going for you. So please do give me a call. And thanks very much for listening.
Thanks, Tim. That's great. So, and a great overview. Lots of rewards for members. There is more information for those of you who may live in an area where you are likely to be impacted by repetitive extreme weather events. You may like to seek further information on additional risk minimisation strategies. Queensland Fruit and Vegetable Growers is a key member of Queensland Farmers Federation, and Queensland Farmers Federation are working with their members, the insurance sector and universities, to develop appropriate insurance products and improve the understanding of parametric insurance and its use as a risk management tool for farmers and the agricultural sector. Specific insurance covers for extreme weather events include things like your crop insurance and parametric insurance. Beck's here to talk about managing the financial impacts of weather risks. and to explain things like the parametric crop insurance further.
Thanks so much, Karen. So as Karen mentioned, increasingly in Queensland, we are seeing extreme and repetitive weather events. And so sometimes there isn't the capacity for traditional insurance products to cover the particular risks that might exist as a result of those extreme weather events. Additionally, so this is where parametric insurance comes in. So parametric insurance is not a comprehensive cover. It's not there for every event. It's for the things that keep people up at night. So it's for the gaps and the extreme events that happen. So as Ahmed mentioned earlier, you know, it's important to consider your what your basis for your insurance is, and then you know, then there's additional insurance that you can take out. So the things that QFF's looking to cover or looking to develop insurance to cover are things like hail damage, frost damage, cyclone and inundation. So they're specific particular risks to your business. They're also beyond the mitigation activities that a particular farm can undertake. So, you know, a good example of this is cyclone parametric products. So the way that that might work is that if we just skip to the next slide for me, Catherine. There we go. These are the sorts of things that parametric insurance can cover. So as I mentioned, cyclone is a really good example of that. So the way that a parametric product is different to a traditional indemnity product is that it's based around the odds of an event happening, and then it's up to the particular policy holder or the farmer to determine what exactly the cost to their business would be in that instance. So there's no damage assessment, basically. No insurer comes out to your business and says, okay, I'm going to say that in this event, your damage has been worth X. You determine that upfront based on what that risk to your business is. So in this, so example of cyclone, if you had a category 3 cyclone, and you were in a cyclone prone area and you knew that your cost to your business in terms of a category 3 cyclone would be X value. I'm not going to quote a value, but you know, as a business holder, what that cost to your business is. You then enter into a agreement with an insurance provider that offers a parametric product that says, okay, if I have a category 3 cyclone within 50 kilometres of my location, I know it's going to cost X, or that damage to my business is going to be roughly X. So that event gets triggered. So it gets verified by a third party. Generally, in this instance, we consider the Bureau of Meteorology to be the main information holder for that verifiable third party. They've determined that you have there is a category 3 cyclone, and then that triggers the policy. So then generally within 14 to 30 days, depending on the policy and what the provider is, that cash that has been triggered by for the nominated amount that you predetermined lands in your bank account. That's really important for farm businesses who could be potentially facing issues with cash flow post an event. I guess the other thing to mention about parametrics is it's not linked to a particular asset. So it's not damage to your house, so to speak. It's more damage to your crop and your business. So you're looking at the impact to your business. So cyclone insurance is something that's just one example, but as I mentioned earlier, you know, you can look at frost during a particular period of your seasonal crop. You can look at lack of rainfall in a certain particular period. The other thing to mention, I guess, about parametrics is they're not annual products, or they can be, but often they're actually shorter than that. So they're for a specific time period and a particular risk, weather risk related to your business. So the idea from QFF's perspective is to look at the ways that these particular products can smooth the income volatility in a business, particularly straight after a extreme weather event like a cyclone or a drought or a hailstorm. Might head to the next slide. Thank you. So if you'd like to learn more about the specifics of parametrics, I'm happy to have general conversations with people about how parametrics work and the specific, because, you know, they're simple in their but also complex in their simplicity sometimes, in the sense that, you know, like Ahmad mentioned earlier with underinsurance, that's a type of basis risk. Parametrics can also have basis risk, you know, as in the example I mentioned earlier around cyclone. You know, if your product is structured in such a way that you need a trigger that declares a category 3 cyclone, but you only get a category 2 come across the coast, there would be no payout for you in the way that that particular product was structured. So it's really important for businesses to engage with people who understand parametrics for agriculture. So parametrics is not a new concept. It's new in its application for agriculture, but it's been used in the construction industry and the international development industries for quite a number of years. But now with the amount of data and weather data that we have on farm, people are getting a really intricate understanding of the weather, the way the weather impacts their crops and their business, and that's what's allowing us to now structure these products in a more flexible and tailored way. But yeah, it's really, really important that people chat to either their current insurer. Their current insurer may or may not offer parametric insurance, but if they do, it's really important that you ask questions around, you know, have you placed parametric products for agriculture previously? What did those products look like? And like I said, if anyone would like to have a general conversation about parametrics and how they work, I'm happy to have a general conversation. And there's some resources there on that slide where you can get some more information.
Thanks, Beck. That's really informative. It's good to know that there's options, and you know, and I'm sure if you contact WFI, they will also direct you to where to get further information as well. So really appreciate that. Now, I did mention earlier that you can ask questions via the chat. There is a symbol probably about the middle of your screen that you can click on to ask a question. But as well as that, in leading up to today's webinar, there were quite a few people that were busy working probably in the packing shed and finishing off on a Friday. And so they actually have sent in some questions. So what I might do is just ask a couple of those that I have here now. Ahmed, I've got my first question is for you. So the question is there anything you can do to be better prepared for severe climate impacts? And does WFI have any resources to help?
Yes, you can. So on our website, we find that's a real good place to put up information. So we've got some static general tips and hints that you can do around cyclone, storm, flood, bushfire preparedness, checklists, information on what you can do in your own property, in your own business. Best places to review and look at that. The main thing is that same thing like you're reviewing your insurances, you also want to review your risk preparedness on your property. So if it's things like trimming your trees around the home, or looking at, if you're a business, what are the, like your shed or your hay shed, do you also have your tractor in the same hay shed? Is there potential to, if one catches on fire, like combustion, will that affect the tractor, or is there a way to separate them? So it's just putting in practical steps around, if something was to occur, rather than having a complete loss, what could you put in like a circuit breaker? So on the website, there's fact sheets and forms that you can do.
Yeah, fabulous. Thank you, Ahmed. I've got another question here for Tim. Tim, do you know of any businesses that have collaborated with Growcom in the past, and are they able to talk to someone about participating in member rewards?
Oh yeah, look, yeah, absolutely. So I look after membership and partnership, obviously. So I'm always really keen to chat to anyone who's, you know, either has a friend working for a business who might be interested in putting something into member rewards, or you know, the webinar might be viewed by someone who's in the supply chain. So yeah, please, you can find my details online. Really happy to have a chat with anyone. Yeah, please do give me a call.
Thanks, Tim. And I've got a question here from Beck, and it's relating to probably the information that they've found through Farm Business Resilience Program, and then also looking at other climate impacts they've had recently. So the question is, I see there is funding to be better prepared for drought. Is there anything for floods, Beck?
Yeah, great question, Karen. So the short answer is yes, but, which, you know, is always slightly confusing for producers, but unfortunately that's just the world we live in. So currently QFF is running a program called the Industry Recovery and Resilience Officer project. Now that project is linked directly to the events that happened in 21-22, so the flooding events in the southern part of the state in the 21-22 season. So that feels like a long time ago now. But those events, there's some funding that if you do a not a farm business resilience plan, a flood management plan, got to get my plans right, a flood management plan with our industry recovery officer team, there is a funding associated with that for $7,500 to get expert advice around enacting flood mitigation on your farm. So it's for expert advice, it's not for works. But some of the examples of things that we have had farmers look at are things like LiDAR mapping for their for their farm, looking at the ways that flood and hydrology mapping can help them plan better, plans for contour banks, those sorts of things. So, you know, that's there and that's an option, but it is only for the more southern regions of the state. But if anybody has any questions about that program and getting access to that expert advice, I'm happy to for people to get in contact with me directly.
Yeah, thanks for that, Beck. I will put up that contact slide in a moment. There is another question that was that I'll answer, that was about they've looked at the QRider and Business Queensland websites, and they can see that there's a Farm Business Resilience Plan template that's for grazing, and is there one for horticulture, and where do they find it? So I did mention that earlier. So if you just go to growcom.com.au, you will see the Farm Business Resilience Program there, and you can click on that. It will provide you access to hort360.com.au, where there's all the online resources. There's also an area down the bottom there where you can click on how do I get started, and there's direct links to Word documents there for templates. You can also go to the QFF web page or give Beck a call because, you know, Queensland Farmers Federation are also providing support to growers to assess risks and to develop farm business resilience plans for industries outside of grazing as well. If we just go over to the contacts page, Catherine, if you've got your phone handy, just take a snapshot of that, because then you've got that directly. Good opportunity while we're all here together. Look, I tend to learn something new every time I speak to WFI and every time I speak to QFF. So thank you so much for joining us today. We will be sending out an email, and I'll actually add those links that were mentioned today in that. So thank you for joining us, everybody, and goodbye.